Hey, I'm Don Kiske. Thanks for checking out the Whitetail Freaks YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new weekly content. The perfect deer hunt for me, I'd have to say, is probably that magical time of the year, around November 1. It's a morning hunt. I'm sitting on a cold, frosty ridge, like 25 degrees, and everything's just perfect. The wind's slightly in my face.
Boone and Crockett bucks. Big boys. Monsters. Giants. Booners. No matter what you call them, they are the animals all the hunters dream of year after year after year. To get one of these fellas means you're either lucky or doing something right. The best state, best county, best land management, and best food supply will always put you in the right place or a lucky place. But even if you're in the right place at the right time, doesn't mean it's killing time.
Oh, there he comes. He's hanging towards us right there.
Just ask Don Kiske about that.
Wait. He went through my hole. I wasn't quite on him. Ah, dang it. Darn it, he's walking off the other direction.
Don Kiske has had a few encounters in his lifetime that can be called heart stoppers. The kind of encounters that will keep you up at night. And the kind of hunts that your average weekend warrior can only experience in their dreams. But that is what this episode is all about. The bucks that dreams are made of.
Words cannot express how I feel right now. This is the biggest buck of my life.
The chance for 90% of hunters ever killing or even encountering a Boone and Crockett buck will never happen. For the guys who are hunting in the right states and counties, practicing deer management throughout the Midwest like the freaks do, the odds are in their favor each year. But make no mistake, even though they've all killed a big one before, they still have that dream of the perfect deer hunt.
My perfect deer hunt would be to be able to go grab my bow, go out into the woods, not have to worry about the camera, the production side of things, and have a 200-inch whitetail show up and I make a perfect shot. Now that is an ideal perfect hunt.
There's no doubt that Candy has taken her share of Boone and Crockett bucks. But ask any hunter what their perfect hunt would be like, and you can be sure it involves a 200-plus inch buck. In reality, though, very few have ever had the opportunity at such an uncommon experience. That is, unless your name is Don Kiske.
Now for me, you know, some of the deer that comes to mind real quick is my biggest buck. My 213 was my biggest non-typical that I've ever killed. But then my net booner, which, you know, that's always been my goal, is to kill a net. That was my first ever typical net boon, and that was super exciting.
Yep, we don't have to go too much into detail to know the kind of bucks Don has taken over the years. But you may be surprised that even after dropping a 200-plus inch buck, some of Don's favorite hunts happen when he's behind the camera, rather than behind his Matthews.
The number 3 big deer, I'd have to say that was great. I actually wasn't even hunting, I was a cameraman. But we stalked this giant buck that was probably in the mid-80s, and he had a big giant drop tine. He was with a hot doe.
The buck Don is referring to is a giant known as the typical 12. And the lucky hunter on this day was none other than his wife, Candy.
have spotted a mega giant garden doe out in the standing corn. As we're trying to find him, we see a good buck. Big buck come through. I think we just want to watch it because I think he's going right where that big buck's at.
It was warm on this November morning, and Don and Candy started out in a big oak tree.
Right off the bat, we started seeing bucks crisscrossing out in the standing corn. And I told Candy, I said, there must be a hot doe in here. And sure enough, I'm looking with my glasses up and down the corn rows, and I just spot a monster walking up and down the corn row. So I get the camera, I'm trying to film this deer, and this particular oak tree had little holes I couldn't see very well in it.
Don would try everything to rattle the buck in. Then he'd try to call him. But it was to no avail. With the wind blowing through the standing corn, deer running everywhere, and the fact that he was locked on a doe alone, this buck was paying no attention to Don's calls.
Well, he kept chasing this doe up and down the cornfield, and these other bucks were flying around. It was a big frenzy. We just couldn't get him to come close enough. He was at 40 yards at one time, but we had no shot.
So Don and I, it was all morning, and we know after past experiences that a lot of times that buck is still gonna be there, and all those bucks are not gonna leave that hot doe, especially that first hot doe. So the only thing else to do, we didn't want to educate them by rattling and grunting because they weren't going to come to a call. We decided just to get out of the tree and say, just try something, try stocking up on them.
The decision was made. Don and Candy were to get out of the tree and attempt to stalk the typical 12 through the corn.
In that instance, it's a 180-inch plus deer, big drop time. So down the tree we went. We go after this deer, we're stalking through the corn, and what really made it easier is this buck is bedded on the edge of a ditch. He wasn't in the standing corn. And where they had planted corn, the guy that planted it left really wide rows. So it really helped us. We had 6 rows in between me and the deer. We crawled all the way up there to within about 40 yards and popped through the edge of the corn row. I got the camera up, had a heck of a tough time trying to see through it. One of the controls on the front of my viewfinder got messed up. So I'm trying to look through the LCD screen, I'm bent over backwards, and it was just a really tough deal to film. We caught the buck on camera though. I finally got it on him where we could see him good, and he must have seen me trying to position a little bit. And I told Candy, I said, you know what, if you can see him good, just stand up, go ahead and shoot, stand up and shoot, and we'll just see what happens.
Don says, finally got the camera set up, he says, all right. He says, because you could just tell by the buck that he was about to bolt, because the doe was about to bolt. All right, he says, now or never.
Staring this buck right in the eyes, Candy would draw her bow and let the arrow fly, drilling him right through the heart.
And I remember Candy stood up and made a great shot, just heart shot the deer. That was a giant. That was a fun hunt.
The typical 12 would end up being Candy's first 180s class buck, and it wasn't hard to tell she was a little excited.
Got it! Down in the ditch! I got it! Oh my God! He's a monster! I've got it! I just cannot believe it! I just got it! Yes! What a gorgeous animal. We have had so many encounters with different deer this year. I've passed several 3-year-olds that have been making scrapes, blowing scrapes out, rubbing trees, and just at a chance at a mature whitetail. This is what you do. I mean, you pass deer up, so hopefully someday you can harvest a big giant whitetail. I am so pumped. 40 yards, my first stock kill ever. It's a gorgeous animal.
When I think about my perfect hunt, I don't really think about, what the deer does or if it's cold or if it's hot or what the weather's like or anything like that. I guess I think about my perfect hunt being incorporated with a deer that has been on my nerves, a deer that I've got trail camera pictures of, I've put the plots in, I've done everything right, and it just hasn't worked out. A deer that's given me the slip.
When it comes to the Southeast Iowa Freaks team, the first thing that comes to mind is dream season, because these boys have had a couple of them now. Notwithstanding the 2016 season, which was fantastic, but looking all the way back to 2012, when Tyler and Spencer were chasing a booner called Scar.
When you get a chance to hunt a deer multiple years, even pass a deer, then hunt a deer, finally get a chance to get it done, man, it can't get any better than that.
Tyler would get that chance he speaks of, or at least he thought he got that chance.
Got him.
But after walking up to this giant, he'd learned it was another Booner status buck from their growing hit list, Mini-Me.
Scar's a little bigger, but I am gonna take this deer 8 days a week.
And that was just the beginning. With the Brownings throwing out pick after pick of hitless deer, Tyler would take out his CVA and catch the 173-inch Lebowski off guard while he enjoyed what would be his last mouthful of Antler King.
This buck is gonna push 170. We knew he was big. I don't know, I got my hands on him right now, and I think he's maybe bigger than what I thought he might be.
The 2012 season in Southern Iowa was already a dream season in the making for Tyler Reese, with 2 big bucks down. But it was Spencer Atwood that would put the icing on the cake when in the late season, he would take down the #1 hit lister, Scar.
We've got Scar on the ground. What an amazing night. We've been chasing this deer all fall. That was one of the coolest hunts for me, being part of the team, because I actually did it self-filmed. It was Christmas Eve when I killed that deer, and probably 40, 50 deer in the food plot that night, and able to kill him was something really, really special.
My perfect deer hunt starts way back in the winter of the year before. So, when we go out and we start shed hunting, and we start putting together an inventory of the deer that survived. We get to the summer, we start planting the food plots, we're running the trail cameras, and then all of a sudden the fall rolls around, and you just wait for that morning when you know it's going to be cool, you know there's going to be a little bit of frost on the ground, and you sneak into the stand, it's dark out, you can't see anything, and then all of a sudden that sun starts to come up and the forest just comes alive, and everything's running all over the place. There's does running and bucks chasing them and squirrels running around, and the thing is that time of year in Iowa, you never know what's going to come up over the hill. It could be, it could be a little Bascarac 8-pointer, or it could be a 180-inch typical 10-pointer. But at the end of the day, every time you hear something, you get excited, because in your mind, it's that giant bruiser just cruising through the woods looking for a hot doe.
Anyone who hunts can relate to them words, no doubt. But maybe what makes a true perfect hunt is when nothing goes as planned. Yet at the end of the day, you're sitting behind a massive buck with 180 inches of bones filling your hands.
Hey, hey, hey! I'm still a little bit in shock of how awesome this season has been for me. The plan was to hunt all this week, but here it is, Tuesday night, and I'd say our tag is filled.
So what is it really that makes the perfect hunt? Does it have to involve a 200-inch deer? Does every little detail have to line up? Or could it just be the conglomerations of our minds defining what perfection is?
The perfect deer hunt for me would be sitting on a farm that I own in the Midwest, and a stand on one of those cold and calm November mornings. And out across the field, I see a big old buck with a doe. And I smack the rattling antlers together, and he turns on a dime and heads straight for me. With every step he takes, you can see the meat and the muscle jiggling off his neck and his chest. And every time he breathes, you can see the steam coming out of his mouth. And he meanders his way all the way across that field to about 20 yards. I make the perfect shot. That would be the perfect deer hunt for me.
To someone like Cody Jarrett, the size of a mature buck is definitely the least of his concerns. After losing his father to an unfortunate accident, he went into a slump and had to find some inspiration to move past the heartache. So when he drew an Iowa tag, it was like his dad was sending some love down from heaven.
I'm on him, dude, whenever you're ready. He's got to turn a lot, man. Let's sit here until he turns broadside.
I finally get the gun up, and this deer starts walking.
Okay, I'm gonna kill him right here.
Then Cody's plan hit a snag.
Are you good? Yep.
A branch blocks the camera's view.
Okay, you ready? No. Huh? No. You're not. No.
I can still see him, but Kyle can't now. It walked behind a branch.
Are you ready? No. Crap. He's behind a branch. Can you move the camera around? I'm about to lose him, man. I'm on him. Are you? Yep. Cover your ears. Kill him. Okay. Dude, you got him.
He's down right here, Kyle. That's my first deer. That's my first deer as the muzzleloader. And as Don Kiske would say, down goes the booner. I can tell you guys one thing. There's not a deer that I've killed that means more than that deer that's in the field. I lost my dad a couple months ago. And before deer season started, I went to the grave and I told him I was gonna shoot a giant. And right there's the giant, man. There ain't a deer that means more to me than that one.
You know, my dad wasn't a hunter. He never hunted, but he was always very encouraging. And he was with me when I killed my first deer December 31st, 1999. It was just a doe. So now, being able to kill that first deer to shooting my first deer after he had passed away, I mean, they're definitely gonna hold special places for me forever.
It wouldn't be long until Spencer and the boys roll in to help Cody celebrate his first Iowa kill ever.
My first ever deer in Iowa, my first ever deer with a muzzleloader. That's a good deer. When we first saw him, Hal and I were talking, we thought he was a booner. We thought he was a mega giant. Because he's so tall, he's just tight. This deer's got a big old body on him. And like I was saying in the stand, I don't think I'll ever kill deer. It means more to me than this one right here. I lost my dad a couple months ago, and I've been struggling even to keep my butt in the stand this year. My heart just wasn't in it. But getting up here with all my good buddies, heck, David Blanton's in camp with us. They kind of keep a fire lit under your butt when you're feeling down, but I could not be happier with this deer. I mean, a big old mature buck, late season Iowa, I don't think you can beat it, man. What do you think, bud? I mean, look how tall he is.
You know, to me, what really makes a perfect deer hunt is any of those that I get to share with my dad. I've been fortunate enough through the years to log a lot of hours with him in the tree. But looking back, it was 1996. I can remember the smell of those pawpaws in the Illinois River bottoms that Dad latched me into my tree. And he was climbing down, and no sooner did he hit the ground and head to his stand, I see this little button buck slipping through the woods right to me. And I was fortunate enough to take my first deer with a bow and arrow. That was something Dad always wanted me to do. And looking back, throwing that deer in the bed of a 75 F-150 and driving him across a cut cornfield, the lessons I learned on that day in that first week of October in 1996, to me is a hunt that will never top any other hunt I'll ever have.
We've now seen many ways one may define a dream hunt, and it isn't always about a 200-inch Boone and Crockett, and it isn't always about everything going as planned. To some, just being able to spend time in the Whitetail woods makes everything perfect all by itself. Oh, and remember that giant typical buck that walked in front of Don's blind without a shot?
Wait. He went to my hole. I wasn't quite on him. God dang it.
This was the largest typical buck Don had ever had a chance at. Yet he did not release an arrow because of the bad shot angle, and the buck walked out of Don's shooting zone. Well, Don lived another dream hunt when the buck turned around and walked right back into range within minutes.
Keep going. He's going to. Oh, don't turn. I'm coming. What do we do? Do we smoke him? Got him. Got him. Just got him. We got him, baby. Down goes the booner. Oh, that took so much concentration not to shoot the first time. Just slightly quartering towards. Holy cow. This is one of the best days of hunting I could ever remember. Watching a booner that big come in, circle, and do all kinds of stuff for us. And we just smoked him. What a fantastic buck. Look at those big, giant, long, sweeping beams. They have to be 26 plus, 27. Excellent 2s, 3s. He's totally even. A little bit stronger G4 on this side than that side. I don't care what he looks like. He's a great animal. Everything came together for us tonight. Just perfect.